It's Monday, April 7. In the headlines, Capri wants the government to shift its revenue base to indirect taxation. In business news, manpower maintenance to partner with chemical firm Paramount Jamaica. Regionally, CARICOM working to tackle tariff crisis. And in sports, sprint hurdler Daniel Williams is the first Jamaican to win a Grand Slam title. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The government must shift its revenue base to indirect taxation and reduce reliance on tax incentives for economic growth. That's the call from Executive Director of the Caribbean Policy Research Institute, Capri, Dr. Damian King. The details in this report from Denida Rodney.
Speaking at the Institute's Budget Breakdown 2025, an analysis of the government's proposed revenue and expenditure, the Capri Executive Director warns that with approximately 15% of Jamaica's workforce paying income tax, the system places an uneven burden on a select group.
The share of taxable income sources, rather than persons paying income tax, is certainly less than 15%. We don't know how much less. But whatever that percentage is, maybe it's 10, maybe it's 12%, of all the income being earned by persons working, something less than 15% of those income sources are supporting the income tax revenue. How that brings in $100 billion a year, I guess the minister will be able to help us understand that.
The government now relies on income and profit taxes for 31% of its revenue, up from 24% in 2021. This contradicts its stated policy of shifting towards indirect taxation. Dr. King warns that action is needed to reverse the trend.
It is a concern that so much of the income tax revenue is coming from So much of the tax revenue is coming from income taxes. Measures should be taken to reverse that. Largely because that income tax burden, as we saw, is falling on only a tiny share of the employed labor force.
Dr. King also says the continued use of tax breaks as an incentive is also a bad move.
In any case, there's a principle here. And the principle is, if a business depends on not paying taxes to be commercially viable, then that business and that industry is unsustainable.
While there are concerns about the proposed budget, the Capri head states that it is a credible budget.
But it's a credible budget, it's a sustainable budget, and it continues to have established a platform that we think it's a basis for economic growth.
The National Housing Trust has extended its employer arrears amnesty program, giving businesses and charities more time to clear their outstanding payments without penalties. Originally set to end on March 31, the amnesty will now run until May 31, 2025. It allows qualifying employers, particularly small businesses and registered charities, to settle unpaid NHT contributions with a full waiver of interest and penalties on arrears up to March 31, 2025. The initiative, which began in June 2024, targets businesses with up to 50 employees and annual earnings under $425 million, as well as charitable organizations registered with the Ministry of Finance. The NHT says the extension offers a crucial opportunity for employers to get compliant and avoid financial strain. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton is currently in the Philippines, working to establish a partnership aimed at boosting human resources for Jamaica's public health sector. Dr. Tufton's visit follows the January trip of Dr. Teodoro Herbosa, Secretary of Health for the Philippines, to Jamaica, where both countries signed a memorandum of understanding to collaborate on enhancing their health workforces. Since his arrival in the Philippines, Minister Tufton has held a series of bilateral discussions with his counterparts to finalize plans for a training program focused on specialist nurses. According to a release from the Health and Wellness Ministry, the program will allow Jamaican nurses to receive remote training, followed by rotations in hospitals in the Philippines to gain hands-on experience. Commercial cleaning company Manpower and Maintenance Services Limited Group announced at Expo 2025 that it will partner with manufacturer and distributor of chemical raw materials, Paramount Jamaica, to buy products at a reasonable price, as well as increase efficiency by having a ready stream of available products. CEO of MMS Limited Group, Donna Gittins, and CEO of Paramount Jamaica, Hugh Graham, at the JMEA Expo on Friday at the National Arena, were both optimistic that this partnership would grow the respective businesses. Donna Gittins also announced that as part of MMS's growth strategy, the organization intends to increase the locations where its products can be acquired, with the opening of additional clean store facilities in Kingston and Portmore. He also outlined plans to add property management and waste management to the list of services that MMS now provides. Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce Auburn Hill says the government will be moving to have more serious discussions with countries outside of the United States for the export of Jamaican goods, a process that started more than a year ago, according to him. His comment comes on the heels of the United States announcing the imposition of a 10% tariff on goods it imports from Jamaica, as well as the concerns about the impact on the country's trade deficit. The minister also disclosed to Power 106 that the government is seeking clarification from the Trump administration about the tariffs. Executive Director of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, Kamisha Turner Blake, has characterized as unfortunate the American imposition of a 10% tariff on Jamaican exports at a time of considerable expenditure in preparation for Expo Jamaica. She said on Thursday that JMEA members have spent $2 billion Jamaican dollars to promote and attract more than 600 local and international buyers to the 4-day event. CEO of Jamaican Teas and former president of the JMEA, John Mafood, suggested that Jamaican manufacturers will have to cut the cost of their products to their suppliers in the USA by at least 5%, then ask the supplier to give a 5% discount to the consumer in order to maintain their competitiveness in the US market. He adds that Jamaican exporters must seek to sell more of their goods to CARICOM and Latin American markets. He says the sector, which contributes 8% of GDP and almost 70,000 jobs, will need the government's help with marketing, trade missions, trade agreements, and lower interest rates in order to remain viable. In regional news, in Trinidad and Tobago, Stasia Yearwood pays a visit to the Synchronergy Boutique in Cipriani Boulevard, an eclectic space showcasing the work of a talented collective of local artisans.
If you're looking for distinctly local accessories and apparel, 4 designers at the Synchronergy Boutique on Cipriani Boulevard offer an exhaustive fashion selection. Textile design artists Arvanel Richards and Kieran Thompson Cust, graphic artist Derek Smith, and Elena, jewelry designer, are all recognized for quality and customization.
as they say, come to the store and choose, look, select, and get the best of what local has to offer.
Flowing ideas out of her imagination, Arvenel Richards uses hand-painted and dyed colour that appeals to and mirrors Trinbago's diverse population.
My process is literally hands-on. I don't print, I don't use stenciling, everything is free-handedly done. I do things vary according, as I said, to personality. So I have pieces that are softer in tones and shades. I have the brighter, bolder things, dark things. So all depending on whosoever might encounter a piece, more than likely they're going to find something suitable to themselves.
The talented fingers behind Oya Jewels belong to Elena, who creates versatile pieces for the high-spirited Trinbagonian social calendar.
Crystals, gemstones, crystals, crochet, ordinary beads, something simple, something elegant, something a little more bulky, to look at people's needs, wants, budget, and try to adjust according to what people actually need, what people will actually wear at Carnival, also at the office, also at the home parties. So I have done such a wide range of products.
Bringing colour to your look is Kieran Thompson-Cust, who reimagined retirement by revisiting the tradition of tie-dye.
It's done in hand tie-dye work. We also do make caps, and we decorate caps. Here behind us we have some decorated bucket hats. Do children t-shirts, adult t-shirts, unisex. Basically that's the gist of what the brand is about. It's two things. I generally try to keep my prices affordable and the quality. People will comment on the neatness. It's eye-catching and it's quality. I pride myself on that. There's a bag and there's a bag.
The graphic designer behind Trin Identity, Derek Smith, elevates his designs through local history education.
1962 is the year of our independence. 1976 is the year where we became a republic. I feel there's a great need for generations after me to know about the dates and the year, because sometimes they might see it on YouTube videos like Now You Know, and that interviewer would ask them, what is the year of independence? And most of them will get it wrong, as well as republic. My work is also educational, right, as you can see.
Arvenel Richards, Elena, Kieran Thompson-Cust and Derek Smith are just a small taste of the fashion finds available from Synchronology's vibrant artisan collective, who merge colour and cloth to craft that something local that you can wear proudly wherever you are in the world.
Let's take a look at the market highlights with Denise Williams.
For the trading period ended April 4, 2025, these were the most actively traded stocks. Toll road operator Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with 61,593,998 units traded, representing 76.11% of market sales volume. Real estate and pharmacy firm Fontana Limited with 4,047,971 units traded, representing 5% of market sales volume. Online education firm One-on-One Educational Services Limited with 1,973,901 units traded, representing 2.44% of market sales volume. We now shift our focus to the Forex market rate set by the Bank of Jamaica. On April 4, 2025, the Bank of Jamaica reported US $48.86 million purchased and US $56.93 million sold by Forex traders. Forex traders earned $1.55 per dollar, selling the US at $158.66 and buying the US at $157.11. The Canadian dollar netted Forex traders $2.33 per transaction, with selling at $113 and buying at $110.67. The British pound yielded Forex traders $5.34 in profits, with selling at $205.79 and buying at $200.45.
For our credit report tip of the day, rebuilding your credit shouldn't feel like fighting through red tape and radio silence. But let's be honest, it often does. You walk into a bank branch or pick up the phone, heart full of hope, ready to take the next step in your financial journey. And then it happens. The bank rep is clueless. You're passed from person to person. No one calls you back. You're left feeling more discouraged than when you started. But you can't give up. You need strategy. You need persistence. And most of all, you need to stay wealth-minded. Don't take the bank's attitude personally. Some staff is undertrained. Your financial comeback is bigger than their limitations. In regional news, the Caribbean's tariff crisis is hitting some of its toughest times yet, with the region heavily dependent on imports. CARICOM chair and Barbados' Prime Minister, Mayor Mottley, says this stems from a colonial legacy. But she notes that regional leaders are working to reduce that reliance. Still, she warns that even if CARICOM drops tariffs to zero, it won't change much. Small economies like those in the Caribbean remain at the mercy of global prices.
We must re-engage urgently, directly, and at the highest possible level with our friends in the United States of America. There is an obvious truth which has to be confronted by both sides. That truth is that these small and micro states of the Caribbean do not in any way or in any sector enjoy a greater degree of financial benefit in the balance of trade than does the United States. In fact, it is because of our small size, our great vulnerability, our limited manufacturing capacity, our inability to distort trade in any way, that successive United States administrations, including and most recently the Reagan administration in the early 1980s, went to great lengths to assist us in promoting our abilities to sell in the United States under the Caribbean Basin Initiative. We will see how these tariffs will impact on that. If Europe and China and the US and Canada and Mexico are all putting tariffs on each other, that is going to disrupt supply chains. That is going to raise the cost of producing everything from the food you eat to the clothes on your back, to the phone in your pocket, to the car you drive down the road, to the spare parts that you need for critical infrastructure. That means higher prices for all of us to pay. And sadly, yes, this will impact all of you, regardless of what any of our Caribbean governments will do.
A regional security agency is sounding the alarm over a growing threat: high-powered, military-grade weapons flooding the Caribbean. CARICOM Impact's official Calixtus Joseph says traffickers are focusing on AK and AR rifles, even 50-caliber weapons smuggled in by land and sea. Speaking at a UN Security Council meeting, he warned that illegal arms trafficking is fueling instability, especially in Haiti. Efforts are underway to tighten weapons control across the region.
This reflects both the intensifying violence and the growing demand among armed gangs for more lethal weaponry. Despite the arms embargo imposed by Security Council Resolution 2653, enforcement remains gravely inadequate. Haiti's porous borders, coupled with limited institutional and operational capacity, continue to undermine the effectiveness of the sanctions regime. The rate of weapons tracing, seizures, and effective weapons management in Haiti remains alarmingly low, primarily due to the limited institutional capacity of national authorities. These systemic weaknesses continue to impede efforts to identify trafficking networks within the framework of the Caribbean Firearms Roadmap and other applicable regional and international instruments. Excellencies, CARICOM Impact stands ready to extend this technical assistance to Haiti, where feasible, practical, and appropriate, in order to help build national capacity, prevent diversion, and reduce the risk of unplanned explosion that continue to undermine peace and security.
Guyana's Vice President, Dr. Brat Jagdeo, says the Guyana government will engage the United States administration on the new reciprocal tariffs, which will soon take effect, aiming to possibly reduce the import duty on local products. Importantly, though, Jagdeo pointed out that there are exemptions to the tariffs. Those exemptions include petroleum products, aluminum ore, and gold, three of the major Guyanese exports to the U.S.
We exported 3.1 billion, based on our figures, 3.1 billion of petroleum crude, 36 million, I'm rounding up, 36, 37, it's 36.9, but I tend to round up numbers all the time, round up or down. So it's 37 billion of aluminium ore, 19 billion of fresh fish, fresh chilled frozen, 16.6 million of gold, 8.7 million of molasses, sugar, honey, 6.5 million of alcoholic beverages, measuring checking instruments 5 million, fish, crustacean, prepared products, etc., 3.1 million, wood and wood manufacturers 2.6 and 2.5 million. So those are the 10 top exports into the United States of America. The Annex 2 of the White House executive order has exempt certain categories of exports from the reciprocal tariff. So petroleum crude, which is $3.1 billion, the top export, is exempted from the reciprocal tariff. Aluminium ore, which is the second highest export into the United States at 37 million, is also exempted. Then gold is also exempted. So 3 of the top 10 products are exempted from the higher, or top 10 exports into the United States are exempt from the reciprocal tariff based on the White House order that President Trump signed into law when he brought the higher reciprocal tariff in place.
In sports, we begin with athletics. Sprint hurdler Danielle Williams has made history, becoming the first Jamaican to win a Grand Slam title. Williams clinched the top spot in the women's short hurdles race group on Sunday at the National Stadium, finishing with 20 points. She raced an impressive 11.54 seconds in the women's 100 meters, securing first place on 12 points. This victory added to the 8 points she earned on Saturday when she finished second in the 100 meters hurdles event. We turn now to cricket, as Cricket West Indies has officially withdrawn the 4-match suspension previously imposed on Jamaica Scorpions captain John Campbell. This follows a recent meeting of the Code of Conduct and Disciplinary Tribunal on Friday, April 4. The tribunal convened to hear a case involving Barbados Pride captain Raymond Rifa, who faced charges related to his conduct during the CG United Super 50 final on November 23, 2024. After reviewing the case, the tribunal determined that the process for bringing the charge against Rifa was flawed, leading to its dismissal. Although Campbell's case was not directly addressed in the hearing, the issues raised during Rifa's proceedings influenced CWI's decision to withdraw the charges against Campbell. Now for some news from football. It was a disappointing end to the CONCACAF Under-17 Women's World Cup qualifiers for Trinidad and Tobago, who lost their final Group C match 2-1 against Honduras at the Otto Bolton Stadium in Cuba.
TNT got off to another poor start, conceding a penalty in the second minute. which was converted by Honduras's Alexandra Mariam. A goal on the strike of halftime by TNT's DM Seeley sent the Soca Princesses in at halftime with the score reading 1-1. TNT looked destined to claim their first point of the tournament until a goalkeeping error from Zaira Amy in stoppage saw Alenis Santos secure a dramatic 2-1 victory for Honduras. The result leaves TNT bottom in their group on 0 points. And head coach of the Trinidad and Tobago under-17 women's football team, Ayana Russell, stated that going forward, she wants to see TNT's youth teams given more high-level warm-up matches ahead of tournaments. This comes after TNT suffered a 2-1 defeat at the hands of Honduras in their final Group C match in the CONCACAF qualifiers.
The CONCACAF Under-17 Women's World Cup qualifying campaign came to an end for Trinidad and Tobago, who finished winless and bottom of Group C after a 2-1 defeat versus Honduras on Saturday. Following heavy defeats from the United States and El Salvador, head coach Ayana Russell summed up her team's final match.
Really proud of them. We knew what we could do and we settled in early. So just wanted to use this opportunity to say I'm very proud of the effort and fight that we finished off the campaign with. Tonight, I don't know, they just seem more like themselves and we got to see what they could do a little bit more.
Going forward, the head coach would like to see more high-level warm-up matches provided to the youth teams prior to tournaments.
Out of the tournament, I would say we definitely need more games. We never got a practice before the test. So their first real test was the US. And I thought they did an excellent job. So I think moving forward is just a matter of really giving them the best chance. And we could practice how much we can, but just need to play a little bit more, especially these teams. That's the only way we're going to improve. So moving forward, that's something I would love to see for U17s and the U20 specifically.
TNT's lone goal scorer against Honduras, DM Seeley, said that despite finishing bottom of their group, that the team is heading in the right direction.
I feel like, Trinidad, hasn't always been the strongest team, but I feel like we've been growing for the past couple of years and we haven't even been in this tournament. We wouldn't have even thought about being in this tournament a long time ago. So I feel like now we're just making leaps and bounds.
And that's it for the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks for watching.